Immediately, everybody, I want you to hashtag right now, stop unfair housing, stop Charlie Guzman, stop Pearl Investment Co LLC. Here we go. As you all may know, my name is Eliza Deed. I reside here in Sacramento, California. I'm a tenant here at the Trees at Madison. The owners are Pearl Investment Co LLC. The manager is Charlie Guzman, which we are going to make sure is removed from property management for the rest of his life. Amen. January 8th, 2019, we experienced two series of events led by our very own corporate bully, Charlie Guzman. Yes, you guys will be able to hear this story from our very own Jacqueline and Sean, who are tenants here at the Trees at Madison. He actually called Animal Patrol on an elderly tenant here inside the Trees at Madison yesterday in regards to the maintenance man being bitten by her dog. The claim came December 27th when the illegal inspection that they claimed came from the county of Sacramento went on. They claimed that this maintenance man had been bit by her dog. She claimed that I'm the only one that walks this dog. How is this possible? And during the inspection, which is December 27th, why are you coming to speak to me January 8th? Interesting. There was no forms to prove these accusations. There was no doctor's notes to prove these accusations. The maintenance man was not present. It was strictly he say, she say. Her dog was put on a 3 to 4 day probation. But in return, the Animal Patrol looked around and seen that there were poisonous plants and berries on the premises. We've just been notified by the Animal Control that these berries and plants are poisonous to the animals and they kill dogs. But Meridian Terrace planted them first, and then Pearl Investment has been completely aware of this situation and has done nothing to try to pull them up, to do anything about it. Animal Control came today. Today is January 8th, and they told us that these are poisonous plants, poisonous berries, and they should not be here because they kill the dogs. They poison the dogs. But this location has known about this for a very long time. The Animal Patrol officer immediately became concerned for the dog and the other animals on the premises. These berries and these plants had been planted by Meridian Terrace, who used to own the Trees at Madison before they became the Trees at Madison. Pearl Investment Co LLC was notified as well. We've had numerous tenants move out in regards to these poisonous plants and berries because people actually love their animals. Also stated in this accusation, it states that the son was walking the dog at the time, meaning the dog was on a leash when it allegedly bit the maintenance man. This tenant is very disappointed and also in disbelief of these accusations, seeing she loves her dog. This dog has been placed on a 3 to 4 day probation, and she is very disappointed by the outcome. Another bullying tactic by our very own Charlie Guzman, another slumlord in the Sacramento area. But the nonsense and retaliation, along with harassment, did not stop there. Charlie Guzman decided to let Sean and Jacqueline know, the next tenants that you'll see coming up telling their story. He decided to let them know yesterday around 10 a.m. verbally that they were being evicted by Monday and that they had to be out by Monday and that he would provide them with their $500 deposit. I want you guys to really pay attention to their stories. They've agreed to tell you guys their stories and what's been happening to them since they've been under the ownership of Pearl Investment Co LLC.
I'm Jackie.
And we currently reside at 5101 Hackberry Lane, Trees of Madison. Management Charlie Guzman. The CEO is Darren McGunn, and it is ran by Pearl Investment Company. Being here at the Trees of Madison, it's more of like a uncomfortable environment. You can't really go out without feeling like you're being watched all the time. You can't walk your dogs without feeling like you're being watched. You're always getting notices on the doors. We didn't currently know anything about a lot of different things, and then it springs up on you later on, and then you have to pay something randomly that you never knew you had to pay. And then it's like you have to just come up with the money out of nowhere. So right now it's not really the best situation. I'm not feeling the best living here. I'm trying to just get through and fight for this situation because it's not really okay considering the things that we've been doing.
Can you all share with me a little bit about this Vanguard situation and how you were trying to pay your rent in the month of September 2018?
Yeah, so in the month of September, I actually came to him the month before, 2 weeks before, closing towards the first of that month of September. And I let him know what was going on and how the Vanguard process worked with my 401 retirement money. And I let him know that I needed to take out a certain amount of money, and to do that, it needed an eviction notice, and my eviction was coming up, and I wasn't going to be able to pay my rent. And when the month came up, I had been saving up a little bit of money just in case he didn't do it, which I figured he wasn't going to do. And then as soon as I went in to try to get the eviction letter, he gave me a letter with no letterhead on the top, and also no notarized signature. He just had his signature on there. So after calling and contacting Vanguard, they told me that I needed to get a notarized signature, and I needed to get the letterhead on top. So after asking him to reprint it, he said he couldn't do it. It's something that he's not required to do. He's not required to give a notarized signature, although that's what they were telling him on the phone. After I gave him the phone to talk to Vanguard, he stated that he still wasn't going to do it because he didn't need to do it and he didn't have to do it. And that would be him just having to do it out of his own courtesy, and he didn't want to do it. So that being said, we fought the process. I kept fighting. Talked to Vanguard over and over. They gave me possible alternatives. They ended up giving me an alternative. They said all I had to do was prove that they changed if I sent my 24 or 13 page lease, did about 24 pages if you do front and back, that they would actually take that and accept it, but the signatures on there were electronic from Meridian Terrace, the property before this, so it doesn't count as a notarized signature. That being said, he wasn't willing to print any paperwork stating that we have new management, we have new property management, we are new with this lease. All they needed was the property management name to show that we have a new lease on a letterhead that showed that this is how much we owed, and he wasn't willing to do that. So prior to that, I called corporate, let corporate know what exactly was going on. Corporate is actually his family. I found that out, so it was like they were like, we just spoke with Charlie, he was just here, and it was showing that obviously he just went to their location and hung out with him or something. I'm not sure what the case was, but he went over there, and then we realized that a lot of people in this organization is a part of the family. So I asked her on the phone, I said, so you're not technically a corporate or you're not a corporate organization, or I can't get anybody higher than you guys that are a part of this particular location here? And she said no. And so then I realized that there was no possible way for me to do it. And then all of a sudden, she said that what if she could give me a letter with the letterhead on it stating that I had a 3-day notice. And then all of a sudden later on, she was like the next day, it was gonna be the next day again, which was gonna be after my 3-day waiting period again, which the process went for 2 weeks at this point. All of a sudden the next day, I had a notice on my door saying that they stated everything that I asked them to state the first day. They stated all on 2 pages, showing that that they said that they were property management. They did everything that they said they couldn't do in the beginning. They just did it after I threatened to go higher and go higher and go higher. And then eventually I got my money 2 weeks later. So had I not saved my money up, I would have been evicted because I wouldn't have been able to pay for something that I should have been able to pay.
And how long did Charlie Guzman make you personally wait in regards to receiving any kind of assistance from him?
Assistance from him, he waited 2.5 weeks. A week with the actual process going on, 2 weeks before because he didn't want to print me up a draft, which is legal, I understand that. So legally, he made me wait 2.5 weeks.
I'd like to talk to you guys about your maintenance issue when it came to the air conditioning. What happened with that situation?
So with that one, it was actually another horrible event that happened. Actually, something that happened as soon as they moved in, 2-3 weeks, a month after they moved in.
Pearl Investment?
Pearl Investment was here, and Charlie was in here. And what actually happened was our air conditioning started to leak water, and I told him that it started to leak water, and then I reported to the maintenance guy who was supposed to be our everyday technician, somebody who was supposed to be able to contact whenever, which that number wasn't working obviously at the beginning, so we had no one that we could contact. But that being said, I told him that it was leaking. He said he'd speak with Charlie, and then a week goes by and nothing happens. So then I go myself into Charlie's office and I tell Charlie what's going on. He says that it doesn't matter. He can't reimburse anything because he didn't know anything about it. And immediately he tried to protect himself rather than trying to actually hear me out and understand what was going on with the actual house. So we talked very minimal about what actually was happening in my house. And we talked more about what he didn't want to pay for and this and that. And if we didn't have renter's insurance, then he couldn't reimburse anything. And I said, well, the water leakage came from the house. And then when maintenance man came, he said he couldn't fix it because the drainage and the actual pipes that were behind the wall, which means that they would have to come and do an actual procedure with an actual maintenance man, maintenance technician, or plumber, or however you figure it out, And they would actually have to do a real live procedure in our house, pull the vents off and work behind our walls. That being said, it stopped leaking 2-3 days later, but it already ruined the table. You have a table for future references. I kept the table and it's destroyed. It unmounted the wood. The nails are stripped. The wood is like pretty much stripped down. So and the paint's come off of the thing as well. And our other table is ruined as well. The legs on there are coming apart as well. So that being said, it ruined a lot of our stuff, and I mentioned it to him, and he said couldn't do anything about it. He wasn't gonna do anything about it. It wasn't his fault. It had nothing to do with him. He fixed it after it just stopped leaking all of a sudden, and then they called it. And so I said it stopped leaking. He put this big old furnace thing in here. It was very loud, very disturbing, and something that you really you didn't want to have it in your house. You couldn't close your balcony because you had it always open with this board of cardboard, and it just didn't really look nice from the outside either. And it was just something you don't really want in your house, and it takes up a lot of space. And that being said, he gave it to us for like 2 days. The air conditioning kind of blew out. It got really cold pretty fast, so it was like you had to keep it off for a little amount, and then you take it off for a long amount. It was just bad, and so I told him he could take it out. And then eventually he came and the guy fixed the air conditioning. And that being said, nobody actually fixed the drain and or the pipage. So he said that it was something about we were turning the air conditioning down too low, but nobody told us, and I don't understand why we shouldn't be able to turn our air conditioning down a certain level, and nobody told us we couldn't turn it down to a certain level to apply leakage. It shouldn't be leaking over any of our property. It shouldn't be an issue. It should be manually done, and then we should have some kind of a rule book to show us how to work this thing, because that's something that we can't take the blame for.
It's definitely dripping again because there's water all over.
Tell me about a situation when the mother, that is also a part of Pearl Investment Company organization, had you go to another tenant's house and have him remove his car.
So the first day they moved in, it was a vacant parking spot that was used as vacant from prior management, and we were parking in it. There was no problem with us parking there. There was no towing enforcement. So that being said, we were just parking our car there every day. And we had two cars, and we were parking it, one in our original parking spot that we were assigned, and then one in this vacant parking spot. Whoever got there first, we just parked there. And it was me and another guy who normally parked there, and when I came up, my car was parked there. She was standing outside of my car, and she, being his mom, Charlie Guzman, the new management's mom, she was standing outside of her car, and she was waiting for whoever's car it was, and I walked up to my car, needing to get something out of the car, and she says to me, "Hey, can you move your car? This is my parking spot. We've just moved in." I had no problem with that. I said, "Oh, sorry about that. We've been parking here. It's been a vacant spot. Your park is 28. She said, "Yes, it's 28. So I moved my car over to 27, which also was a vacant parking spot. So either of those two parking spots you could have used. When I moved my car over there, she eyeballed me. She looked at me really weird. And then she came over to me and she said, "Hey, so we need this parking spot because we're moving in. We have a vendor coming to help us move in, and we need this parking spot." And I said, "Well, why do I have to move my car out of a vacant parking spot so you can put a vendor's car there?" And she said, "Well, we just need it." And so being that she was the new management, she actually stated that she was management at first. So I actually thought that she was the management, the new management coming in. So I moved my car, no problem, moved it to the vendor's parking spot in the back. And then later on, the blue car, my friend's car, comes up and he pulls up. He's not really my friend, but I just know him through like mutual acquaintances, basically, or we see each other high and by. And we live in the same apartment complex, the community. We speak to everybody who's around here. So that being said, he was coming in, he parked his car there later on, and she saw me walking out later on towards my car, and she actually was waiting for whoever's car that was. And vendor still hadn't come yet. It's a little bit later on in the evening, about 6, 7 o'clock p.m. And she tells me, "Hey, do you know whose car this is?" And I said, "Well, yes, this is the other car that usually parks here. He probably doesn't know it's a vacant parking spot." She said, "Hey, I need you to go." Well, sorry, not to quote her wrong. She said, "Hi, could you go to his house and get him out of his apartment to let him know that he needs to move his car so I can let him know whose parking spot this is?" And I said, thinking that she was management, I said, "Sure," because she's management. I'm like, "Oh, sure, I'll go get him out of his parking spot, out of his house," and he was going to be cool with it. So I knocked on the door, let him know what was going on. She made me go and get him. He went and had to move his car, and she explained the same thing. And from that day forward, every single day, he's been parking his car in that 28 spot. And she was supposed to be living here. I haven't seen her car, none of those things of that sort. But The next day, and since then, still to this day, or actually as of like a week or two ago, is now been assigned a parking spot. But for months, 2 to 3 months, she was parking his car and he was parking his girlfriend's car, the next parking spot beside it. But his motorcycle was also in that spot. That being said, he was using both of them spots as his parking spots rather than assigning someone that parking spot. So many people moved in, many people moved out, and that parking spot still
Can you both
remained.
tell me about what happened, the inspection that happened on December 17th when you were home alone, Jackie?
So I was actually home alone, and I believe we had gotten a note saying they were going to come in to inspect for pests. And I hadn't seen the note, so I had no idea that they were going to be coming in. And so I was actually changing to, to head out. And all of a sudden someone started knocking, so I had no idea who it was, so I wasn't trying to open it. And my dog started barking, so I went over to try to grab her from barking. And they opened the door, and of course, like, I didn't know who it was, so I ran to the door and I said, "No, you can't come in." And I had no idea, and I was almost scared because I didn't know who it was.
And what was Charlie's response to you, Sean, when you called him in regards to why a man just randomly walked in on your girlfriend?
Well, he really didn't care anything about that at all. Actually, in fact, he stated in that moment, he actually stated that, well, the first thing he said was, "Can I come back in 10 minutes or 15 minutes? Or sorry about that, we didn't know, but can we come back?" He said, "This is a inspection that we gave 24-hour notice for, so we need to come in," and nobody said that we couldn't come in. That being said, the next time they had a different inspection, they tried to come in. It was later on the same week or within the same month, 2 inspections in a row. He said that was for smoke detectors. And so they came into the apartment, and we actually called and said, "Hey, we don't want you guys just walking around for smoke detectors." And then the next meeting, they had another inspection, the third time in a row. And that one was actually for just to inspect the quote-unquote living arrangements. They told different tenants, different stories, different situations for why they were going to people's houses. But they were opening people's drawers up. They were going to people's cabinets. They were looking around, something that just really didn't necessarily fit the pest control smoke detectors, being that they never come in and actually look at the smoke detectors when they're doing a smoke detector inspection. They kind of just look around your house rather than actually trying to check for wrongdoings with the smoke detectors or problems with pest control. They don't really look for that kind of stuff. So she felt uncomfortable doing it one time when she was in the shower. He called me and I let him know, "Hey, I don't want you guys to come. My girlfriend's in the shower right now. Can you get in?" All he kept saying was, "Can we come in 10 minutes? Can we come in 15 minutes? Can we come in 20 minutes?" Just kind of pestering me about doing the inspection. And he kept saying that we had to do it. He had to do it. It's required by the state of Sacramento and Sacramento housing unit and stuff like that. He was just kept involving the information in regards to that. And we had already been told that the housing unit had never actually scheduled an inspection for that time, so it was kind of like an illegal inspection that he was doing. So we felt uncomfortable, and we didn't know what he was coming to our house for, and he just wanted to come in. And it's like, dude, 3 times in 3 weeks is kind of like a lot of times to just come in and out of somebody's house. You don't really feel comfortable. You don't feel like you can really be at home. You can't really live your life like you really want to, because you're always watching over your shoulder, wondering when management and or family members of management is going to come to your house. And that being said, his mom is the one who did the inspection. No actual inspectors, no actual people that needed to be here for the inspections.
And her boyfriend.
It was the mom, the alleged boyfriend. I'm pretty sure that's her boyfriend. That's who she introduced me to as her boyfriend when I first met her. And it was another guy whom we've never ever seen on this property before, but he was wearing a hoodie, some slacks, and some dress shoes with a light on his head, like he was ready to go look under people's beds and under people's cabinets and in dark spots that he wasn't supposed to be looking.
And December 27th, which was the illegal inspection that they claimed was led by the Sacramento County of Rental Housing Inspection Program, you guys did not allow them to come in, correct?
No.
Absolutely.
So in regards to December 19th, when you guys received a notice in regards to a 3-day notice due to $190 of late fees, can you explain about that and just tell us a little bit about that?
So the way that actually happened was the month prior or previous or before, We received a notice on our door that we didn't pay our rent, so it was a 3-day notice to pay or quit. And on that notice, it detailed that we only had to pay $1,200. So that being said, we paid the $1,200. I'm pretty sure the same day, if not the next day, it was right away within the 3-day period that we were extended. And
what month was that? November?
And that was in November. And the month before that, or the month of November, we were actually, yeah, you're right. November, we were actually, we got the notice, and that was the $1,200. So we paid the $1,200, thought everything was good. He accepted the $1,200 money orders right out of my hand. Never said we had any late fees or anything of that sort. And this month, he just randomly chose not to give us an account balance sheet. So that being said,
December,
he decided to randomly not give us an account balance sheet. That's something that we've received since moving here. So we've always got an account balance sheet on top of our 3-day notice so that we're aware of exactly where our account stands at, if we have credit, if we have no credit, if we need to pay something, and what exactly we need to pay, because the utilities and all of those things different, or usually they change. But since he's here, it's now $50 flat rate, which is another topic. But it was a situation where he gave us the $1,200 thing, and he didn't give us the account balance sheet this time. So we were unaware that we had any extra balances. We thought maybe that we had a credit or something because we never are aware when you have extra money or any extra credits on your account. He never posts that or lets you know of any of those things. So sometimes, like the month before that, we paid less, or like this month here, it should actually be $200 according to him. Essentially, it should be $200 because of the mere fact that we had a $10 credit that we actually didn't know about. So that's why it's $190 rather than $200. It was actually going to be $50 and $50 for the 2 late fees. But he applied a $10 credit that we had on there and took it off. So it's a situation where he decided 1 month out of random that he wasn't going to give us the account balance, so we paid exactly what he told us that we had to pay, $1,200. He accepted it, and then prior to that, we got a notice about 6 days later that we had unpaid balances. Now that being said, it was like a random time that we just got to randomly pay $190, something that we didn't know anything about. And so I talked to him on the phone, and I discussed that I was unhappy about it, all the situations that was going on in this building. He was completely unaware of everything, which is fine. But at the end of the day, I understand. I let him know that I was unhappy, that I didn't know anything about it. If I would have known, I said, why every single time you've given us an account balance, and he always stated that it was just a courtesy. And I said, well, why did you have to why be courteous every single month, and then all of a sudden decide not to be courteous? And then the next month you decide to be courteous again. And the courtesy follows after you decide to give an attack on another balance a month later when the rent is already due. So now you want to be courteous again after you weren't courteous, only to say that we owe an extra $190 extra. So then I kept going on. We talked 30 minutes, 40 minutes. He was really trying to just press me out the phone. I kept fighting the issue. And it wasn't until I let him know that we didn't have any problems with him, and there's been a fight going on, and we haven't been really much involved with it, but we have been involved with it, and we just didn't want to face any type of retaliation or just being put out of our home, because I'm from North Carolina, and she's from San Francisco, and it's like it's not something that you're comfortable doing, and we didn't want to be put out. So we let them know, like, we haven't been involved, we've never had problems with him, we've never had issues. Just kind of let them know, like, there's never been an issue with us, and we never had a problem paying the late fee if we were advised to pay the late fee, if we were told about the late fee. And this time he didn't want to do that. So until then, once I let him know that we weren't hostile, we weren't angry, we weren't upset, we've never had a problem with him, then he says, hey, well, okay, pay the $190, let me know, it's fine. 10 minutes later, I'm sitting in my car, still on my lunch break at work, and he calls back and he says, hey, so I was thinking about our conversation. I was actually thinking, what if I call ownership and asked them if we can cut that in half so you didn't have to spend a big chunk of change before your Christmas holiday? How does that feel? End quote. In the beginning and end quote at the end. That is his exact words, what he said to me. He said to me that I didn't have to chunk out a big chunk of change before Christmas, so he wanted to chunk it in half. And that we still had to pay that in 3 days. Which was the day of Christmas Eve. He wanted us to pay $95. So that being said, it was kind of like he was trying to pull a string, but it was like a weird thing for me, because at first we had to pay $190. At first you wasn't really trying to work with me at all. All you kept saying was, when can you pay it? When can you pay it? On the phone you were trying to cut me off and saying that you didn't have to give me that courtesy, but you were choosing to give me that courtesy, and now you just chose not to this time, and you didn't have to. And you didn't really want to explain to me, or he didn't want to explain to me, Charlie Guzman being the he, why exactly he couldn't tell me why he didn't want to give the account balance that particular month, and why all of a sudden out of all the months he just kept saying it was a courtesy, he didn't have to. And I kept asking why. That was my point. And he was trying to press me off the phone. That being said, we got to a later arrangement that I would pay $95. Something else came up when my car was due. It was a strung-on bill that I was unaware of, because your bills are lined up. It's not like we're just making money left and right everywhere. Bills are lined up. People calculate their bills. So when you throw a random bill of 95 or 190, 100, $190 in the mix of something, it throws other bills off. And so it was a situation where he threw me off in a lot of my bills, and even with the other situation with my overdraft, or when I had to overdraft my account because he didn't want to let my Vanguard go through, it set me behind months. And it made it where it's like he's always trying to set you behind months. And once I stated the fact that it seems as if by him putting that notice out and not giving us an account balance that one time and then trying to give it the next time, it seems to me like he's trying to put us out, or he's trying to get rid of us, or he's trying to find ways or loopholes to try to get rid of us. But me being a smart person, it's not really you're not gonna just run over me. And I feel like I'm being bullied, and he's trying to bully me, and I'm not gonna really stand for anybody trying to bully me.
Definitely. And till this day, are you guys sure of what the $190 is for?
To this day, I'm not sure what the $190 for. I know it's utilities and late fees, but he said it's $190 for late fees.
The majority is late fees.
So all late fees that I guess we didn't pay in the month of November. I'm not sure. I just know we didn't pay it in the month of November, and I guess he tacked on in the month of December, and now it's in January, and he's threatening to evict us for those late fees.
And Jackie, you went in the office and spoken to him about this $190.
Yeah.
Was he willing to break down those prices then?
Right away, when I went in there and I had talked to him about the late fees of the note that we had gotten, he got very defensive when I told him that late fees were not legal. And right away, he started just throwing numbers out to me and saying, on this date, this and this, you pay this amount. On this date, this and that. And so I said, okay, can I get all the information? Because we don't know about it. We don't know where those numbers are coming from. And so he quickly printed it out for me. Yeah, of course, I'll get it to you right away. He printed it out. Still didn't really make sense to me. A lot of the numbers were kind of, we had extra in this month that was moved on to next month. And a lot of it didn't really make a lot of sense to me.
So do you both feel like you're being discriminated against and also retaliated against as well?
Absolutely, because even in the emails, like when he's telling you, like the mere fact of why we were uncomfortable with the inspection and coming in the house, we let him know why we were uncomfortable, and the fact that we didn't know anything about this, or we didn't, not that we didn't know about the inspection, but we didn't particularly know what this particular inspection was for. And once we let him know we didn't know what this inspection was for, he was still pressing that he had to come in. It was a housing unit that required this inspection. It had to be done by the end of the year. And it was an inspection. And he wrote us a letter stating that, but then at the end of the letter he wanted to state, since you're so uncomfortable with us coming into your apartment to do the inspection, and since you're so unsure, and he does his thing with his wording where he tries to make you feel as if you're like not really smart or you're a dumb person.
He's very sarcastic.
He's sarcastic, and it's like, since you decide, basically in so many words, since you decided not to pay or not to let us come in, don't forget that you have these late fees that we owe you for. And it was like, with 190, he brought up the money, and it was like, when can, we already did this and we discussed it, everything seemed okay with Sean, and then now you're not allowing us to come in. And it's like you're trying to throw, since we didn't want to let you come in the house, now you want to press the late fees for us. Before you weren't really mentioning the late fees at all to us, and then it's like, since you didn't come in the house, what about the late fees?
Sean, can you tell me exactly, today being January 8th, 2019, can you explain to us your conversation you had with Charlie this morning at 10 a.m.?
So yesterday he tried to get in touch with me, and that was on January the 7th, 2019. He was trying to get in touch with me, and I reached out to him first, let him know that my money had gotten lost out of my account. It got taken out of my account. And I was informed that I had to wait 7 days from that day to get the money back from my account. That being said, rent was due on the 3rd, or on Thursday, and that was the day that it got taken out of my account. So I let him know that, informed him that I didn't have the $300 for my account. My girlfriend had her half of her rent, and then I still would have some of my rent that I could have put with it. And I let him know that I wouldn't have it. Could he extend my period? Either way, I get paid this Thursday, which is 2 days from today, January 8th. It's the January 10th is when I get paid. And I let him know it was only going to be a little bit of an extension. Even if I didn't get the other money back in time, I could still get my check and just use my check to pay my rent. He said, give me to Monday. On Friday, sorry about that. On Friday, this conversation was happened, and then on Monday, he said he'll reach out to me on Monday. That being said, I was aware that I had a 3-day notice, and we've usually had our 3-day notices where they come on. If we get it Friday, it starts Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. It's a 3-day notice. If Wednesday, if you don't have the money by 5:30, okay, then it's like, it's a situation where you're in hot water, threat of eviction. Okay, understood. But this time he went through the 3 days of the weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, after telling me he would meet with me on Monday and allowing me to relax and think that, okay, Monday comes, he would figure something out, and then if not, my process starts. But then Monday comes, and I reached out to him and let him know, hey, my phone got turned off because also the money got taken out of my account, so my phone actually got turned off as well. Another unexpected bill that was due, and something else took money away from, like I said in my last topic. And it's like it's a situation where you have your bills lined up and the money got taken out, and so my phone got cut off. I emailed him on email after speaking with Eliza and asking her what should I do. I emailed him on the email and I said I let him know everything, and he said it was okay. Monday we called. I told him on Monday that I wasn't able to get with him because I couldn't call him. I'll try to call him when I get to work. That being said, I'm a manager of my job. I can't just I'm managing people where I can't just always just hop off the call right here, hop off the call right there. So I wasn't able to reach out and get in touch with him. And I actually did call. There was another number that was the wrong number, but I did call. And he said he didn't get those calls, that voicemail, any of that stuff. He didn't get any of my calls. That's fine. But when I try to go back over to talk about it, he emailed me as soon as I saw him in the parking lot bringing food in, and I just said to him, "Hi, I'm just letting you know that I got back to your email." Immediately, he just shuts me right away. He kind of cut my conversation right off. He didn't even listen to anything I said at all. He said, "Oh, I can't talk to you right now. It's after office hours. Just send an email and I'll talk to you in the morning. Thank you."
What day was that?
And that was last night at about 6:00 p.m.
Okay.
The office closed about 5:30, I believe, 5:00 if I'm incorrect. So that was just an hour after the office closing, and he was just like, I just got off work, was walking in, had my backpack on from work, still dressed up, and he's just like, "I can't talk to you right now. Office hours are over, sorry." He was like, "Thanks. Just send an email," and like I say, "Oh, I'm just trying to let you know that I sent the email." He said, "Oh, that's fine, send an email, and I'll respond back to it in the morning, thanks. Office hours are closed." And I said, "Okay, that's fine." I walked away. And at that point, it was just like he really didn't care. He's always given me the impression that he didn't care. Since the very beginning, I've consistently stressed that he gave me the impression that he didn't care. He's given multiple tenants the impression that he didn't care. So I just kind of felt like all the time, like I said, he didn't care. And last night, he didn't care. He showed me the same thing. So this morning when I went into his office, he sat me down and he asked me exactly how much I could pay today. And I said, well, he said, in the conversation it was supposed to be, we were supposed to discuss some further details before considering my request to do the actual extension. That being said, how could you start a 3-day notice process if you're going to be considering a request to do an extension?
Now, share with me, he claimed that starting January 1st, 2019, the law changed in regard to weekend days. Can you share with us about that?
Yeah, so he stated to me that starting January the 1st, 2019, the law changed where he's now allowed to count, if issued a Friday 3-day notice, he's allowed to count weekends as business days. So if he opens the office up on Saturdays and Sundays, which he's not very much in there often, it's about if he's open from 9 to 5, he's in there for 3 hours of that day, and not there for much of the time, and it's never him. He's never actually there. There's a lady that's there, and she's usually only there for leasing appointments when she's giving people new leases and signing people up to move in. That being said, on the topic of leases, while I'm right here, he's not even allowing us the opportunity to renew our leases. He told us that he's not renewing leases for up to 12 months. So right now we've been forced to live month to month with the threat of eviction every single month, considering that you don't know month to month what type of stunt or thing he might try to pull, because at that point you're not under any particular lease, and the old leases we have are not necessarily good leases anyway, considering they have electronic signatures. Vanguard pretty much told me that those leases are pretty much no good. So it's like he's putting you in positions, predicaments, and situations where he's making it impossible for you to do the task, and those who can figure out the task and who have it where they can figure out the task, those are the ones who can conquer those tasks. situations with the dogs. He did the same thing. He did it 2 weeks before rent, right when he knew that people had to try to come up with an extra $150 just to pay for the rent. It was like randomly, you just gotta be doing it. He does everything strategic to try to make it where it's impossible for you to actually achieve the goal of his goal of what he wants this building or this facility.
In regards to your conversation that you had with him this morning, what threats did he give you?
So he told me how much can I pay today. I told him that I could pay my girlfriend's half of the rent. She has her half of the rent because it actually happened where another $300 got taken out. So I have the records to show that the $300 got taken out of my account twice. I cannot do it for 7 days where I can get it back. That being said, it'll be Friday. He stated to me that, well, you said $300. Based off of what you're telling me, he's like, that's all you can come up with is $600. And I was like, well, she has her half of the rent. We pay half and half from the rent. I don't have my half of the rent, but she has her half of the rent. Something happened where I got sick last week, so I didn't get to work a couple hours. I had the flu. I said, so I got paid sick leave, and I didn't get paid as big of a check as I would have gotten paid. And I let him know all that stuff. I said, so I could have easily paid you her half of the rent, just pay you my half in 2 days, and that'll be perfectly fine with me. And he said, well, just based off of what you're saying right now, I don't think Pearl Investment, or he said property ownership, which obviously property ownership would be Pearl Investments, Derek Begun, is going to accept that. So what I can do for you is if you would send me a notice or an email to say that you have a note or that you're willing to move out by Monday. Monday being Tuesday, today's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, or today's Wednesday, right? Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So that's 5 days. I have 5 days to figure out somewhere to move, somewhere to live, somewhere to stay, pay my deposit, pay my rent. And on Monday, if I move by Monday, he'll give me my $500 deposit back. If I move by Monday, he'll give me my $500 deposit back. So that being said, if I decide to come up with my rent or figure out how to come up with my rent somehow, and randomly today, what about if I decide to move in 2 weeks, you're not going to give me my deposit back? So he stated to me that if I didn't pay it by or if I didn't figure out a way to pay it by today, at least $900, that he would send my thing in for an eviction notice, or he would send it out and he would give me an eviction notice on my door, and I would be facing the threat of eviction.
You guys feel like you're being discriminated against by Pearl Investment Company LLC and Charlie Guzman?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the reason I say that is because, since he's been here, we've been faced with nothing. We didn't deal with any of these problems, and Meridian Terrace was a lot worse when in regards to management just being around and being available, period. And since Charlie's come here, it's like I haven't dealt with any of these problems. I've known my rent. I've known what I had to pay. We had flat rate utility fees, or not flat rates, but we had different utility fees based off of what utilities we used. It was different stuff it was stuff that was made different, and we felt more comfortable. And it's like now it's just like he's targeting certain people. There's since being here, there's a certain group or and I don't like to use race too much, but there's a certain race of people that's been getting put out, and those races are Black and or Hispanic people. And it's not really, I don't like to say that and like to bring that race card into it, because that's just not really necessarily something that is always got to be pulled. But with this situation, it's weird because most people are saying it looks like a race issue. There's only certain people. He's putting certain people in certain cubicles, and then putting certain notices in certain areas, like the mere fact of a smoke notice. He put it in a certain area, but didn't put it in every other area. And he's putting certain race of people in that one particular area, and then that one particular area get a smoke notice that says that the reminder there's no smoking. That being said, it's like they're not doing certain things for everybody. Certain people are getting inspection notices. Certain people are getting pest notices. Certain people are getting different notices, and you just never really know what to expect. You're always on your toes, and you just never know if you're okay with him. You never know if he's happy with you. You never know if he's upset with you. He doesn't ever really give off the impression that he really wants you here at all. He makes you feel like he just doesn't want you here, and if he can get rid of you as soon as possible, that's the best thing he's going to do. And he's going to bring in a type of people, the exact people that he knows that he can manipulate, he can run over, and that'll do exactly what he tells them to do. And rules are fine. Rules are perfectly fine. Laws are perfectly fine. Policies are perfectly fine, because that's what we have to live by every single day. But when you abuse the policies, when you abuse the rules, and when you twist and bend the laws, it's not really necessarily a situation where anybody's going to feel comfortable, anybody's going to feel welcome, and anybody's going to feel like they want it here, and they're okay living in their place.
What's devastating about all of this is that we are not comfortable in our own homes. We're being discriminated against. We're being harassed. We're being retaliated against. We have a corporate bully who's our manager, who we should have a personal relationship. But no, he appreciates making us feel uncomfortable around him. I definitely want you guys to pay attention to the lives that are being affected right now. There's so many other people in Sacramento, California, and in the world that are being affected by unfair housing, unfair evictions. These families are not only being racially discriminated against, but income and status. The main people that are being affected right now at the Trees at Madison are people with low income, people on disability, Blacks and Hispanics. It's really devastating. Please take a moment to gather your heart and gather all the things that these people have been telling you for months. If you are under Pearl Investment Company LLC and you are under one of their locations, please contact the Sacramento Tenants Union or myself. We are here to assist you and add you to this fight. Charlie Guzman will be removed from property management. That is an ultimate goal. Hashtag stop unfair housing. Hashtag stop Charlie Guzman. Hashtag stop Pearl Investment Company LLC.